Hello, hello, hello. Today is July 15, 2021. Many of you ask me, do you read all our messages? The answer is yes, I do. Many of you ask me, why didn't you respond to my message? Well, that's a very different issue. 85 of the questions that I get can be answered easily by Google. You have to learn how to use Google. Exhaust Google before you ask me a question. How do we measure the distance to the sun? Use Google. How does a transformer work? Use Google or use my own lectures. 802, Electricity and Magnetism, where of course I explain how a transformer works. Why does the Earth not fall onto the Sun? Use Google, or watch my 801 lectures, Newtonian Mechanics, where I explain that in great detail, of course. So please, before you ask questions, use Google or watch my lectures. So I often, therefore, do not respond. I may say use Google sometimes, but I don't say that always. I sometimes may say watch my lectures, but I don't do that always. Luckily, many of my viewers are so kind to answer your questions. If, however, their answer is wrong, then I don't post that answer. What does it mean when I don't post an answer? Well, when you send me a message, I have two options. One, to make your question visible to all my viewers. Another one is to not make your question viewable, but to delete your message. You won't even know that, but I can delete it so that only I have seen it and I have read it and no one else can. Why would I do that sometimes? Well, some comments are very aggressive. Some are vulgar. In some cases, you insult people in a very bad way. Some are very extreme in an area of religion or in the absurd area of flat earth. I would not post those. I teach physics, but I don't want to get my channel polluted with those ridiculous questions. What would happen if I go 3 times the speed of light? I will post that question, but I will not answer it. It's a meaningless question, because you can't go 3 times the speed of light. Please respond to my questions. I often get that. That's a reason. That's no reason for me to respond. Please send me a heart. I teach physics. I don't send hearts. So please, do yourself the favor. Before you ask a question, do your own homework. Use Google first. Use my lectures first. If you watch a lecture of mine and you ask me, in that lecture, you say it's L squared, why isn't it L to the third? I don't answer that. You should watch the lecture twice if you don't understand why it is L squared. I cannot go back to that lecture and look up where I said L squared and then explain to you why it's not L to the third. It's a total abuse of my time. So I hope you understand. I get about 100 to 150 questions or comments, not all are questions, every day. I probably respond in a meaningful way to at least 10 or 15%. And meaningful could be, use Google, meaningful could be, watch my lectures. So, I teach physics, keep that in mind. I don't get into an area of absurdities. What happened with me when I fall into a black hole? Actually, I covered that in my book, For the Love of Physics. But you could ask also to Google what happens when I fall into a black hole. So, in a nutshell, do I read all your messages? Yes. Do I post all your messages? No, but I certainly post 95%, maybe even more. Do I respond to all your messages? Not at all. Probably 10 to 15% for good reasons. Of course, we will always be friends. That's a given. That goes without saying.